Greetings. We are discussing about the tractive property and mechanical properties of tires like force generation mechanism, tractive effort, and so on things. Before getting into the discussion of tractive property third part, I wanna summarize something we have seen in our classrooms and part one, part two of tractive properties. To know about the mechanical properties of tires, we have to see the tire and road surface natures into two skills, microscopic and macroscopic skills, right? Okay. In that skill, we have seen about adhesive property and hysteresis of elastomers and road surfaces. We have seen a lot about them in our classroom, right? Okay. Taking a quick look, the tire was splitted into 3 points A, B, C. There is a zooming look of tires contact with the road surface. What we have discussed is A is a point. At this point, the sorry, this is the point which is going to hit the ground, right? First one, and B is a center point, and C is a exit point. So we can name it technically like we just named it like a loading point because which is only going to hit the ground, B as usual center point, C unloading point. It is come back from the loading nature, right? Okay. It can be named as some other ways like a point, that is loading point, can be called as leading point because this is only gonna lead the tire, first point. And as usual, B center point. C unloading point can be named as trailing point, which is gonna act as like trail. Fine. And we discussed that there are three main agents which greatly influence to decide the tractive properties of tires. Those are pressure, friction, slip. We had a lot of discussion about pressure, friction, slip in our classrooms, right? Okay. Now we are going to discuss about at which point has maximum pressure, which one has maximum friction, and which one has slip. Okay. These three factors will decide the tractive properties of tires contact with the road surface. As you know that the tractive property, what do you mean by you know very well that what is tractive and what do you mean by tractive force, tractive effort, traction, slip, and so on, right? Okay, fine. At first, we concentrate quickly on pressure. As the tread elements first enter the contact patch, they cannot develop a friction force because of their compliance. I repeat, the leading point element first enter the contact patch. They cannot develop a friction force because of their compliance. That is a property of elastomer, viscoelastic material property, right? Okay, so it cannot develop a frictional force because of viscoelastic nature and compliance. They just develop a pressure, right? Initial pressure as enter into the contact patch because the A point, that is a leading point, they must bend to sustain a force. They just sustain the force, so they cannot develop a frictional force on road surface, right? Okay. So the pressure must be very high and friction must be less compared to other points. Okay, wait for a while. So here at the leading point A, it is not going to develop a friction force because of compliance. The pressure may be high compared with other points. So the graph may be like this. Maybe like this, right? Maybe. So the maximum pressure at the point A compare with point B and point C. So why we are mentioning 0 here is at this point it gonna release from the road surface, so it cannot develop any pressure here, right? So the center point will develop some amount of pressure, but compare with point A it gonna develop less amount, right? Okay. So this can happen only if the tire is moving faster than the circumference of the tread. Okay. So the tread element proceeds back through the contact patch. Its deflection builds up concurrently with vertical load and it develops even more friction force. Okay. If the contact patch approach the center, so the friction will be more at this point, right? So compare with other points. Then if the friction is more here, it gonna be released at the trailing portion, right? Just think about it. If you sit here, you can get maximum pressure at this point. Again it moves here, it will develop maximum frictional force here compared to this one. And what about here? It gonna not develop maximum pressure and maximum friction too, right? Because it gonna release here, you are gonna release here, right? Okay. So at this point A, it will develop some amount of some amount of friction. So compare with A, B gonna develop at this point B, that is a center point. You can feel maximum amount of friction. But what about C? At point C, you are gonna free from road surface, right? Just think, you are sit here, come here and release from the road surface, right? So at point C you are gonna release from road surface, you can feel zero amount of friction, right? Okay. So from free rolling it comes like this. So immediately after releasing from contact patch, so you can feel immediate release of friction. So it will be like not like straight line, it will be like curve, right? Okay. So what about slip? Okay. just think just think, you are moving with a shoe, okay, boot with a plastic bottom on slippery surface or whatever, concrete surface, whatever it may be. So first you step your feet on the concrete surface. First you feel maximum pressure on your toe and maximum pressure on the center point of your feet, and at the removal of your feet you can feel some amount of slip at the trailing portion, right? Okay. So you can feel maximum slip at trailing portion of your feet. Okay. So what about A and B points, that is the leading or loading portion and the center points. So you cannot feel any slip at A and B points, so you can feel only slip at C point, that is a trailing point of your feet or trailing point of your tire, right? Okay. So the slip will be like, so maximum slip at trailing portion, right? So here it's like this one, right? Sorry, like this. Okay. So as per our discussion, as per our discussion, leading point, that is a loading point A, get maximum pressure because of viscoelastic material and speed and compliance of the tire, right? And if the tread comes at B point, that is the center point of the tire, it develops maximum friction, and it comes to C point, the trailing portion, it actually slips, right? So maximum pressure at leading point, maximum friction at the center point, maximum slip at rear point, that is a trailing point. This is what we have discussed till now from our classrooms to part 1 and part 2. Thank you. Okay, we have not yet completed the tractive property. It has to move on, right? Wait.